Sorry about this, it's just asking me to confirm everything.
Well, it says we're live on Facebook according to the thing up in the top left corner.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello. We're from the future, so we'll get the message before you. It's fine.
Okay, and welcome everyone to Supernatural Takeover Live. And with us, all the way from Australia, we have Anne and Renata. And of course, we do have another of our team member, David Jackins. And, well, what I'm going to start off with, Anne and Renata, tell us all about yourselves.
Well,
how long you got? How long is this segment?
I'll give us a brief description of what you do out there.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome. Congratulations, guys, for putting this on. We are very, very pleased to be your guests today. And we are actually here on Norfolk Island. So we are not on the mainland, not in Australia at the moment, although Norfolk Island is still part of Australia. It sits away.
It's a territory.
Yeah, it sits away out in the ocean. Out in the ocean. And it was originally part of the penal settlement. So the English actually brought the convicts out here and put some of them onto Norfolk Island and into New South Wales. So we're kind of revisiting our history and doing some ghost tours out here. But my name is Renata Daniel, and I have been running Newcastle Ghost Tours here in Australia for the last 11 years. I have also, for the last 3 or 4 years, been hooked up with this chick here.
And hooked up, I mean friendship and business.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Yes. And we've been running Frightfully Good, which does events and lives and ghost hunts, paranormal investigations, overnight stays. And
the occasional TV documentary.
Yeah, occasional TV documentary. We are now podcasters. We have a weekly podcast called True Hauntings.
YouTubers.
We are YouTubers. We are TikTokers.
We are influencers on TikTokers.
It's not something that we really wanted to do, but yes, we're there now. We're there now. And I am also a trained professional counsellor. I'm also a Reiki master. I am a psychic. I've been doing tarot card readings for the last 30 odd years. And I am now living my best life and my dreams of doing this like for real. This is my job.
24/7.
Sounds amazing. I've got to ask, I know last time you done a workshop about Ouija boards. Do you still go out there and use them? And is that still like a big part of you?
Hey, well, guess what? The people that came with us to Norfolk Island are doing right now. They're actually doing Ouija boards, table tipping and glass dowsing in the other room while we're doing this with you.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I really want to go to a haunted location. It's been ages.
Oh, you guys, yeah, you're locked down. We were so excited to get to Norfolk Island. It was get on an aeroplane and fly somewhere. It was about 2.5 hours of flight.
Yes, but we nearly didn't make it.
No, the night before they messaged us and they said the flight's been cancelled. There's wild weather between Sydney and Norfolk Island. All flights are cancelled. And we got messages from people saying all flights out of Sydney are cancelled for the next 48 hours. And like we're already in Sydney because Sydney's a 2 to 3 hour drive away from us. And we've booked motels. We're staying overnight. There's another 10 people with us. We're all excited. Your flights are cancelled. No. So the app kept saying that it was still on time, on schedule. And we've gone, okay, well, let's just keep following the app. We'll still get up at 5 a.m. to catch this flight. And we'll just visualize keeping a clear path from Sydney to Norfolk Island. So when we got up in the morning, the flight was still on. So we've all gone to the airport. On the board where they list all the flights and they tell you, which gate to go to, everything was cancelled except for a flight to Los Angeles and our Norfolk Island flight. So we just gone,
oh,
yeah, but we had the wildest landing.
Oh my gosh. Norfolk Island, imagine seeing an old treasure map. You know the old treasure maps you used to see as a child?
Yeah.
And there'd be a little island out in the middle of the ocean with a big X on it. X marks the spot. That's what the landing pad here on Norfolk Island looks like. The landing area for the flights looks like a big X on the top of the island, and that's what everyone heads for. So it's crazy.
And it felt like with this particular flight, when the pilot landed, it came in and it slammed. It slammed so hard into the ground that some oxygen masks actually fell out.
Wow.
And then the pilot comes on and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we've landed."
And everyone just cracked up laughing. It was slightly terrifying, but yeah, we got there. And there wasn't too much turbulence. It was pretty good. So we visualised well.
Now, how about you?
I'm going to tell you about me now.
We'll just take over. It's all right, guys. You just stay there. It'll be right.
You just sit there and look pretty. You're doing a great job. I am Anne. My name is Anne Renata. I trained as a musician. I became a high school music teacher, and I like teaching the kids, but I actually didn't like the bureaucracy that goes with it. So I got out of that and became a professional musician and a professional actor. So I've done a decent bit of TV work, and then found this sort of stuff about 10 years ago. I mean, I've been dabbling in it since I was in my early 20s, which was 5 years ago. And excuse me, did you just laugh? No, a long time. So I sort of, a friend took me to a spiritualist church, and I sort of learned about mediumship and psychic abilities, but I didn't know about paranormal investigation until I saw a ghost hunting TV show. And I went, oh, that's really good. You can use gadgets to detect ghosts, apparently. So that's how I got my foot in the door, found a local team, have progressed through a few teams, as you do, because you've got to find your right fit. And not everyone's going to be your right fit. So eventually found this one. Everyone had told me what a cow she was and keep away from her. So I had for many years. And then she offered me a job taking a cruise group down on a cruise to Melbourne because she can't get on a cruise ship. And I became her best friend then.
The rest is history.
Yeah, it was a ghost cruise.
Wow.
Yeah, but my speciality is I own Oz Paratech, which is Australia's largest online paranormal equipment store. So I supply all the equipment from like Gary Galka, from DAS and Ghost Stop and Centex in Australia. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm a gadget girl, love batteries, as you do. But yeah, that's me and all the rest of the stuff she said.
Yeah. Well, so following on from that, what is your favourite gadget to use then?
You take this one.
You know, it's really depressing. I've been doing some courses with the Ryan Institute and reading up a lot of the Lloyd Auerbach stuff. And the more I read, the more depressed I become about the equipment. But I do enjoy the spirit box, particularly using the Estes method. So that's using the headphones plugged into the spirit box. And the person on the headphones just calls out whatever they hear. And the other people are asking questions. People on the headphones can't hear the questions. So when you start to get that matching up, that becomes really quite interesting. So yeah, probably still the spirit box at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
You know, I'm no good. I'm not good with anything electrical. I break everything.
We've actually been tested by the Mind Mapping Institute, and they get you to go into meditative states and see what your brainwaves do, and then they'll say make a link, spread it out, and connect to the spirit world. And her gamma is nuts, and apparently they said to her it will affect electrical equipment. And I swear to God, shit breaks down everywhere when she's around. So she's got huge gamma, but because we work together a lot doing our seance work as well, we're sitting together and I think, was it theta? My theta was stretching out to hers and hers was stretching out to mine. Only on the side we were sitting together and linking up, and we were forming this link. It was really odd.
I've got to say, I find it all interesting. Go on, go for it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I find it all interesting.
Keep going.
I think it's where we've got like a second or 2 seconds delay.
Yeah. We need to say stop at the end so we know. You're wrong.
Okay. I was just going to say, I find it all interesting because years ago when I done parapsychology, I looked into a lot to do with, there's I think university out in America called Pear Research. And of course, they studied a lot on how humans can affect machinery, because it's a bit like myself. If I get stressed out or whatever else, nothing works, which makes me even more stressed out. And then especially like a laptop or PC, I'll end up showing, get me more stressed out from it won't work. And it's just constant. And I know you could say science don't really understand it at this moment in time, but of course the research out there and the statistics of it does actually support humans can affect electronic items. So
absolutely.
And of course there is that deeper connection when we come to poltergeist activity, because if humans can affect electrical items and make them go off or explode or whatever it might be, certainly there is an extent where they can also affect inanimate objects like bottles that fly off shelves and tables and weird and wonderful things like that. So even though science might not be really kind of saying, that's something that's really happening, there is, as you said, a lot of evidence out there and a lot of testing being done, like the people at the Mind Mapping Institute here in Australia that are doing this sort of research and getting really, really good statistical evidence.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm going to have to look them up later because I find it all the whole supernatural interesting, but especially. Dave, have you got any questions you want to ask? Because I could ask hundreds.
So I was sending a post then. My mind's gone.
I put him on the spot
now. I'll just put a post up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just put a post up actually, just asking people to ask their questions in. So I wasn't actually expecting for it to come on to me while I was sending. So.
Okay. Do you want me to ask? I have got a couple. I was going to say,
yes, go ahead.
You're in a haunted place now. Has anything happened?
This is our second night.
We've had one night here.
We had one night
and we were exhausted last night. We all fell asleep and ate.
The trauma of just trying to get here was really awful. And the first night we actually went down to Quality Row, which is a street of buildings where
sounds like chocolates.
Yeah, it does.
Quality Street,
where the government officials lived. So they lived in these palatial homes up on a bit of a hill, and they would look down at what was the penal settlement of Norfolk Island. And there was a prison in there, there was a chapel in there, there was a small hospital in there, and certain outbuildings, but all of that was surrounded by a big stone fence line. But these people on Quality Row could see down into how the whole settlement was working. Now, a lot of these buildings have been restored and they look absolutely beautiful. They look like they would have in the 1800s, and we're lucky enough to go in and investigate in some of them. So we were in a place that was originally owned by one of the commandants, and then a priest that came out here with his 9 children And
the amount of children these people had.
My goodness.
Like 19 children.
19 children,
13
10 children.
And
they were raising them.
There's obviously nothing else to do here.
They were raising them like in a little one-room building.
Just had stacked on pallets or something.
But we had a lot of very personal activity happening. So there were many people in the group that we had that were experienced things like being touched, having pain in certain places. One of our ladies felt that she had pain all the way down her face, and she explained it as if she had been slapped across the head by someone. And we actually got further into that story as the night went on, and there was more evidence that was coming through that energy was actually in the room, and she was allowing other people to feel her and to feel her pain. So that was really, really interesting. We moved on from that building to a building called the Duplex, which is a set of buildings that go one behind the other, and they are one of the most haunted buildings in the area. And although it was a little bit of a quiet night for us, that
we were tired by then. We weren't giving off much energy.
We weren't giving a lot of energy by that stage to the whole thing. I think we just sort of wanted it all to be over. But we're walking into ruins. There is nothing there in that Duplex building that would remind you of what the place looked like. It's sheer, really bricks, mortar, and dirt floors.
And this is my third time here to Norfolk, and your fourth. But my first time here, we attempted table tipping in the Duplex, and they had the tables that fold up. You've got the lid on the top, and it all folds down. And it was heavy wooden slats and a metal frame. And it took two people to pick up and carry it. We thought, oh, well, we'll give it a crack. We'll put our hands on. And the table started to tip up with such ease. And we had one of the locals, Liz, with us. And she was speaking the local language, which is a combination of English and Tahitian. So it's sort of a bit like Pidgin English. You can sort of partly understand what they're saying. And it really responded to what she was asking. And there was no way anybody could be leaning on the table to fake anything that was going on. It was one of the most astounding sessions I've ever seen. Stop.
So tomorrow,
no, not everything.
No, tomorrow there is a absolutely magnificent cemetery here, and I know that's a terrible thing to say, but because they choose stones that have been underwater or water affected, they have headstones there that have been carved from the 1800s, and they look like they were done yesterday. All the writing and everything on them is totally legible. You would think that someone came along and just created the cemetery so that it looks good, but they are original. So we will also take some photos of that and put it onto our Facebook page. If anybody's interested to head onto the Anne and Renata Fight for the Good Facebook page, in the next few days, you'll be able to see those headstones. But honestly, some of them are dating back to the 1820s, 1830s. And across from that, behind a little fence line, there is literally a mound where they used to just bury the convicts that didn't warrant a headstone. So that's quite an interesting area as well.
Sounds amazing.
So out of everywhere you've ever investigated, where is your favourite place to go?
We've been many places around the world. We were meant to go to America quite a few times last year, but it didn't happen. Renata's not been there. I've been there. I loved going to Tombstone because it was like seeing the cowboy movies come to life and seeing bullet holes in the birdcage theatre roof and that sort of thing. I think
it's hard. We've been to Pontefract, to the Black Monk.
The house there.
The
Ancient Ram Inn.
We've been to the Ancient Ram Inn. We've been to, where else? We've been to a couple of places in England, which to me are absolutely fascinating. I would love to go back to all of them.
I loved your, what do they call it, cabinet work at the Arthur Findlay College.
Yes. That's somewhere on Facebook. You'd have to see that.
We went to the Arthur Findlay College to do a class because we just thought it'd be so cool to say, oh yes, we've been to the Arthur Findlay College. And somebody had put it on Facebook with the incorrect spelling, what they call it, the Arthur something collage.
Collage.
And you're not allowed to use cameras or videos or anything in there. And I'm not sure if you're aware of cabinet work with physical mediums where they go into a cabinet and produce ectoplasm and do all that. Anyway, we were taking the piss, as you do. We're very naughty if you haven't worked that out by now. She's climbed, we've actually stayed the night at the Arthur Findlay Collage.
They'll never let us back.
I know, they're going to let us back anyway if they've seen the video. She's climbed into one of the wardrobes and is pretending that she's being a physical medium and climbing up. Sorry, you had to be there. Anyway, back to, look, I think Romania, was it Brand Castle?
Brand Castle.
Where we were doing a glass dowsing session with a Romanian tour guide who was speaking to the other side using she was asking questions in Romanian and it was answering in Romanian. So we couldn't understand what it was to be able to influence it. And it was matching. She was trying to find the missing head of the female skeleton that she had. And it spelt out the name of a town that was approximately 5 miles away from where we were. And she said that could be quite feasible, that's where it ended up. Mm-hmm. So that was quite like for me.
And we were completely unprepared for that. We were just using a plain wooden table that they had in the room. We had a glass with us, which we carried all the time, and we started this in this particular room while everybody else was out exploring, and it started to answer. So we ran to this lady and said, "Do you want to come in and join?" And she said, "I don't know what I'm joining into." And we said, "Just come, you'll find it fascinating.
Just need to sell your soul, it's fine."
It was amazing. She had an excavated female skeleton that had a head missing in this castle, and you could go and see it. We hadn't seen it because we were all busy doing this glass dowsing session, and we said, look, there could be something really interesting that comes from this conversation when you sit in and speak to them in Romanian, because we don't know the language. And it was very, very interesting. But the castle had a bear pit.
We didn't
even get to see that. Or other areas of it, but hopefully we'll get to see more of all of these wonderful places in the future.
Yeah. What's your favourite place? You didn't say your favourite place.
England.
England, the whole of England.
The whole of England, every single bit of it. All of England. Although we had a really good time in Ireland as well.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. We have done a little bit of travelling, but not as much as we would.
We would have done more. Bloody Rona.
Yeah. Well,
they'll go away soon.
We have obviously said that when you do come over here, we're going to try and arrange something together.
I'll bring the cat balls.
Do you guys use that sort of technical equipment over there as well? Cat balls?
We have.
Not the cat balls. I like the cat balls.
We've used a variety of different equipment. It's one of those things. Normally with us, we will always try anything we can from, even from the basics to for more advanced. But I must admit, sometimes, because I naturally work as a medium, I always believe your own natural self is the best bit of equipment. Because I think the strange thing is, with me, I can a lot of the time see spirits around us. Now, I have got a set of night fishing goggles, and I love them. It's amazing watching everyone doing a seance, and it's pitch black. Everyone does this like little dance and jiggle that they're unaware of. But I always found with them, I couldn't actually see any ghosts or any spirits through them. It's only when I took them off I could see more. And it goes back to my saying.
Because you're not seeing it with your visual eyes.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, any bit of equipment we'll give a go and see what it's like.
Yeah, we do quite often try different things like what James has said, but I must admit one of the favourite things that I like doing is just a basic seance half the time.
Oh,
yes.
You don't need any equipment. You just can stand. It's one of these things you can also do last minute as well. We've done it before. We've gone out for walks late at night, and it's just like, oh well, we've ended up here. Why don't we do a quick seance and see what happens? And it's just one of these things.
We've learned to appreciate everybody's experiences, because, you know, why should their experiences be any weirder than what we might be experiencing? You know, people will talk or listen to what we have to say, and we'll say, oh, you know, we're feeling a person over there, or they're touching me here, or whatever. And, you know, somebody else might think that's weird. And we think it's absolutely real, because that's what we're getting. So we also need to be of approval of other people to say what they are feeling and seeing and hearing as well, because somebody else might be feeling or seeing that too. And it makes them feel comfortable, as Anne said, to explore what they're getting. And like you said, our own bodies are the best tool.
We are a tool.
We are a tool when it comes to that sensing of spirit and sensing of presence.
I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in Australia, if somebody calls you a tool, it means you're an idiot.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's one of my favourite sayings, is to say, yes, you yourself are a tool.
We do like to bring humour, as you can see.
Yeah, it's the same with us.
Yeah.
We've started a podcast. Well, I mean, we've been doing it for 6 months now, called True Hauntings, and it's looking at the famous big cases, plus some other little ones as well, and then looking at it through the eyes of a paranormal investigator or a parapsychologist, more scientifically looking at the people who gave the evidence, what is the reasons behind. So it's a bit of true crime as well, but we are forever trying to crack each other up, and I break her quite often, and it's actually going incredibly well, and people are really enjoying it. But we've looked at the Ancient Ram Inn, we've looked at Lep Castle, that's this week's episode. We've looked at local ghost stories, we've looked at the Birdcage Theatre, and we are learning so much by looking at these old cases with fresh eyes.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
I will say one case I would recommend is Enfield Poltergeist.
It's on the list.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. It's coming soon.
I think one of the reasons I recommend it is I normally discuss it a lot with Andrew, that sadly is not here at the moment. And no matter what way you look at it, half of it is very believable, and half of it doesn't make sense, like it's made up. And it's one of those cases you can really debate both sides, because both sides got such strong arguments. But I find it fascinating.
Yes.
But same as all the cases, they're all fascinating.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the ones I really enjoyed digging out was the Amityville case.
And
looking behind all the information there. Oh my heavens. That's a hornet's nest, that one.
Yeah, we done a live about that the other week, and that was quite a good chat about it.
Laura Dedeo has the best. She was a very young reporter at the time, and her information is absolutely gold.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how techniques have changed, though, when you go and look at some of these older stories, and how they haven't changed. So they have both changed and haven't changed. People's attitudes to these things have also changed, and then often not changed. But the one thing that I guess we can all agree on is when these stories come up, they absolutely capture everyone's imagination. Everyone seems to have something to say about it, whether it be good or bad. Everyone has an opinion, and that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I've just seen that there's a message from, or a question from Rachel saying, "What's your scariest moments?"
I always go back to a story that I encountered a couple of years ago when I was doing a recording and filming session in a restaurant, and I was there with a number of people and also another psychic medium. And I think what happened was that we delved too much into the truth of a particular story of a particular spirit that was there at the time. And this particular spirit was sort of in charge of everybody else. So sometimes we encounter kind of the head spirits of a place and everybody else sits under them. And they either get permission to talk or not to talk, depending on how this head spirit feels that we as investigators or people that have come into the site are worthy of that or not. And this particular spirit that we encountered was sort of in charge of the place. He ran everything behind the scenes. And I think we delved too much into his particular story, and he started to feel very vulnerable that the other entities or energies there would not see him fit to be the leader or ruler anymore if we uncovered more of the truth. And so the owner of this particular restaurant actually felt the change in dynamics without really knowing what was going on, and actually asked us to stop doing any more filming or talking about anything anymore. She wasn't feeling comfortable. And so we packed up for the night, of course, honouring what she had asked us to do, shut everything down for the evening and left. And then at about 12 o'clock the next day, I get a phone call from this particular owner in tears. She and the chef had come in, and they literally just walked past the room that we had been working in last night, and both of them were taken by this energy and almost knocked back and became physically sick. And they said to me, "You have to come in, you have to fix this, because we're supposed to be serving dinner tonight and we can't even walk into the room." So I said, I'll come around and I'll see what I can do. And I literally had to walk into that room, because they said they couldn't even go in there. When I came, they were both sitting on chairs outside crying, going, "We can't go in there, we don't know what to do." So I walked in, I stood in the middle of the room and I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I think I've upset you, but I make this promise that what we uncovered yesterday, we will never tell anyone. We will never tell anyone. The filming will never be released. Whatever was recorded will not be shown to anyone, but on the proviso that you stop this, that you allow these people to continue to work in this space in peace and quiet, and we will keep our part of this bargain." And at that stage, the windows just rattled and shook as if to frighten me. And I had to stand there and go...
She had to have a parrot of pens on for this one.
I had to say, "Now, if you think you're going to frighten me out of this situation, you're not. I'm going to stand here until you agree, until you make this agreement, because I need to let these people back into this space." And so I stood there for a while. Things sort of tended to calm down, and then I walked out and I asked them both, the owner and the chef, to now try and walk in to see if everything was okay, which it was. I contacted them that night. They said everything was fine. I contacted them the next day. They said everything was fine. So I said, "Okay, well, obviously what was done is done now. We have to keep our part of the agreement, and he will keep his part of the agreement. Everything will be fine." That was probably the most... That really put me on the spot. That put me on the spot where I had to stand there and go, I cannot be afraid of you, and you are not going to, get this over me. I have to stand here and stand my ground, because I need to fix this. So that was interesting.
For me, I used to work at a place called Quarantine Station Manly, which is very near Sydney. It was where the ships came in that had people with various illnesses, and they were quarantined for 40 days before they were allowed into the harbour, and they had lots of smallpox and Spanish flu and everything through there. So I used to run an experience called Paranormal Investigator for 6 years, and we were setting up one night, and there's a little cottage they call the Grave Diggers Cottage. And there's something about that cottage that just used to frighten me, and I don't get frightened. So we were just putting our equipment in and making sure it was tucked away, because they had tour groups going through all the time. They had a children's birthday party in there at that stage, and the kids had just scared each other, and they all were screaming in the house. And I was standing in the kitchen. Another investigator was just standing at the other side of the doorway as this kid went screaming out and jumped over the veranda outside. And we just went, wow, that's so disrespectful. And this pot lid that was on this old stove just flew off and hit the wall. We were standing there. We just saw it happen. I've never witnessed anything quite like that before in my life. And I can't say I was scared. I was just astounded that I had witnessed what was obviously some sort of PK energy release, or was it the ghost in the house that was angry with the disrespect that these kids had just shown? But that place always put me on edge, because they used to tell stories about the ghosts there which weren't true, but it made a really good story. And I think that the entities there just weren't happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found that before in some places where there seems to be, someone seems to make up a story about a ghost, and then we've had it several times where this ghost has come through, even though the person admitted to making it up, it's come through on numerous ghost hunts and all that, and it's just like, well, it makes you wonder sometimes as well about how stories get around. And say this one guy decided to
there is a famous experiment out there called the Philip experiment. And the thing is, I could look at this a number of different ways. You could look at it, our minds are so powerful, we yet don't quite know everything we can achieve. But at the same time, sometimes maybe when people do say stuff, there's actually a bit of psychic-ness there, and what they are creating, it is, already there.
And then every group comes in and feeds into that and keeps retelling the story and giving it energy, and it just creates this anomaly.
The problem is when people start continually feeding dark energy into these things, when often they're not. Often they're, Auntie Mabel, who died peacefully in her home, and then all of a sudden, there are 15 groups that have come in and say, oh, it's a dark energy and it's some sort of something demonic. And Auntie Mabel's going off and that, going, no, I'm not. Starts to get really angry and starts throwing things, and they go, see? It's demonic, it's throwing things. No, it's Auntie Mabel being really, really angry that you're calling her a demon. If you just stop, everything will be fine.
The thing is,
I also find that sometimes.
I've said a number of times that sometimes spirits will do anything to get our attention. And whether it is like what you said, smashing an object or whatever, or moving something, sometimes they're like, I'm here. Why can't you see me? Look, I can do this. And
well, quite often what we will do on the ghost hunt, if it's a particularly quiet night, we just have conversations, and then all of a sudden it seems to kick off, and it's almost like hang on, you're supposed to be here talking to me. Stop talking amongst yourself, and and things like that. True. So.
Oh, we did hear some disembodied singing last night too, remember?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was really cool. Sorry, that just reminded
me. That's all right.
Oh, no, go for it. No, we're just sat here jealous that you're on the ghost hunt. Yeah, I think.
Oh, we're lucky we've been ghost hunting for the last few months, actually. We've done sleepovers at different sites. So at one site, we have this beautiful old home, heritage home, about 40 minutes from where we live, called Lochinvar House, and it's on an estate. And we have done two sleepovers there. So we're very, very lucky here in Australia, even though we are so far away and we seem to be closed off to the rest of the world. We can actually walk around without any masks or anything, and we've begun to live normally again, which is
it's
awesome.
a new normal. It's not
a
normal.
New normal.
Yeah. I think the thing is, sadly, it's still going to be in people's minds, and hopefully soon over here, ghost hunts will come back. And I know there's quite sad, a lot of groups over here are trying to bring them back at a very fast rate, but of course, the government says it's not safe to do so yet. So hopefully we've only got a couple of months where more restrictions are relaxed, and in theory being, hopefully we can get back into it, because as I was saying to Andrew yesterday, I could never imagine going out at least a month or a couple of months for maximum without being in a haunted place. And now it's been like, a year and a half, and I've not been anywhere like that. And it's really surprising.
Yeah, I wonder how our ghosts feel.
Yeah.
I wonder how our ghosts feel.
See, we've debated this quite a lot. Some people's like, will it increase the activity because no one's been in there? Or will they just sort of drift back because no one's communicating with them? So it's...
Well, we can sort of answer that, because we did leave one of our biggest venues for quite some time, and Maitland Jail, and it went really quiet. Because we weren't feeding energy back into the site. So does the energies dissipate because we're not feeding that energy? We're not bringing the living people in, which are like a battery to the environment and to the energies there. And it was really quiet for quite a few tours. It's picking up again now, but it's still not quite at the level it was.
Yeah.
I must admit, that does remind me of a location when people moved out and no one was really going to it. It just became dark, dreary, and there's no activity, no nothing. When the building started having life put back into it, people visiting, ghost hunts happening, all of a sudden it just picked up. And I think maybe it's an important thing. People actually need to go to that location to have that energy and, give the spirits a bit of energy. Unless I guess maybe they just...
Yeah. Telling the story of the person, does that keep their energy there? Keeping the stories of the location going, that's what is maybe our spirits. It's our stories.
Look, it's really important to keep the buildings active as well, because a lot of your sites probably are historical sites too. And when you don't have people visiting, then there is no money going into those sites, and a lot of them close down, or will be sold off, or will be pulled down. And every single day we are at that tipping point where we can lose more and more of our haunted sites, more than ever nowadays. It doesn't take much for someone who finances these big buildings to come along and go, we can just get rid of that because no one's really interested in it anymore, and we'll build a bigger complex on top of that. And that's sad, because we need as much history as possible so that we can continue to tell the stories of all of those people.
Yeah,
we are quite lucky. We are quite lucky though, with a lot of the buildings like that are listed, so there's so many rules around them. And I was talking to the countryside ranger down at Hillsey a few years ago, and part of his job is he looks after the old Bastillions, which is the old fortification network of Portsmouth. And he said that even though one of them is literally ruined, it's got graffiti on it, for them to add any brickwork just to brick it up to stop people breaking in there and all that, they've got to use special contractors, they've got to use special bricks. And they said that the problem is the fact that with the amount that it actually costs to do these places up as well, it's not worth it. So since then they have put bars in front of it, but it's still not an easy thing for them to do.
Yeah, basically over here we have what is called a grade 2 listing building. And basically a grade 2 listing building it means you can't touch the outside walls. And if you do anything, you've got to have permission. But I will say for inside, it's completely different. But when you have a grade 1 listing, which it means you can't alter or touch anything, but sadly, it doesn't cover every location out there. I have seen a couple of locations. I remember go back a few years ago, I was speaking to someone and I was trying to get this location back open, back in use. And sadly, it didn't happen. I believe now it's either houses or flats on top of it. But anyway.
It breaks our heart because we only have 200 odd years of white person's history here in Australia. Of course, there are millions of years of Indigenous history, but white person's history and the buildings associated with that. And at any moment, they can all be gone if someone hands over enough money. And there are many people who belong to certain groups that fight to have these areas saved. It often doesn't happen, which is sad.
And it blows our mind when we go to England and the history, the age of the buildings that you have that are still standing, and like the ancient Ram Inn, which was the 1100s, and then you go to the shambles in York, and it's like, wow, this is just insane.
Can hear your puppy dog.
No, that's next door's dog. Just came running past. But yeah, what I'm going to have to say is we're going to have to call it the end, but it's been amazing, and hopefully you can join us again soon. We can do this again.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And when we're back in Australia, we've got a reliable internet. Mind you, this has held up really well. But we'll happily do another whatever it was we did last time, class or something.
Yes.
If you like us back, we'll happily do it.
I must admit, I love
this opportunity.
Yes, I loved your workshop last time. It was absolutely amazing. It's
thank you.
So so
we'll take all the glory.
Yes, thank you for coming on, and hopefully we will see you again soon. And thank you all at home.
If you want to find us, we're on YouTube, Anne and Renata. We've got a new series called Ghost Hunters React, which is freaking hilarious. We're on TikTok as Anne and Renata, one word. Instagram, Anne and Renata, one word. We're on Facebook, Anne and Renata, Frightfully Good. So there's loads of places you can come find us and join in the shenanigans.
And good luck for all your other interviews.
Yeah, thank you. If you email me afterwards, I will get the link up as soon as to any of your pages as soon as possible.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, bye.